All right, ladies and gentlemen, traders, what's up? What's up? I came very close to not recording this recap. It is 8:06. Man, this is brutal. Why is this recap not done since 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 12 p.m.? I'll tell you guys. So, originally, today I had a meeting with my CPA, of which I needed to be there by 1 p.m. the latest. And as you guys know, we shut things down early around 11, and I came back here in the workspace to get some documents. I had to print out a few files, statements, things like that. And I saw ticker symbol REB exactly at 11:51 a.m. So if I bring this down here, at 11:51 a.m., AREB, right on this red candle here, I saw this stock. And I'm like, man, this thing looks interesting. In fact, immediately got a little upset because I'm like, man, why couldn't I have seen this thing earlier? If we pull it up here on E-Trade, you guys will be able to see a couple of halt resumptions that it had. This is the thing with being consistent. And right now, I'm definitely not consistent when it comes to being here and being present. We spoke about this quite a couple of times over the last few days, few weeks, few months. I haven't been consistent with how long I stay here. And this is one of the drawbacks of that, is that on the days where we get a random hot move like this, you're not going to be in the best position to capitalize because you're simply not here. For the people who saw this stock hit the halt scanner at 11:30, saw it early, saw the dip and rip here, or at least the halt resumption, whether there was a trade or not here, an entry or not, you're gaining data, you're able to see how the stock is moving, and then we get into these pullbacks, right? So we had a high of 44, low of 3, and then a low of 3 again, 304, and then the stock rips to 385, halts up, dips to 364, and then 350, and then it rips to 455. Man, just this might have been one of the hottest ones. I mean, it's always tough to really like put a marker behind it, MLGO and so forth and so forth. But I mean, from where I came, which was around 11:51 right here. I mean, man, you can see this is still fairly early in the move. We still had all of this, right? This thing, I mean, was just ridiculous. So, initially I'm taking a couple scalps, and it wasn't up until this candle that I'm like, wow, this thing is impressive. This stock went from 480 breakout, or let's say 1 minute candle to make the new high, all the way to 540. And I mean, it went from 476, 475 to 530. Like, just there was no price in between 480 and 429, 428, or 528, 529. From 476 just teleports to 530, and I'm like, I couldn't even believe that that's how strong this thing was moving, right? Again, if you have the insight here early, the moment it starts to move up, you're not giving it a second towards that resistance, you're just jumping in. And so, after that breakout, we did have a lot of chop here. We had a pullback to 92. We had a push up to 40, 46. And then again, it jumped from about 420 all the way to, or let's say 520 to 588. And so I made money and lost it. So I made 1,000 very quickly, went back to flat. Made 1,000 again, went back to flat. And then in this move right here, I actually think it was after resumption. So, man, you got to be focused. You got to be focused. You got to be focused. You got to be here. You got to be only here. For me, I wasn't fully here. I hate saying these things. Sometimes it's part of the deal. And as we know, on top of that, trading itself is risky. Trading is hard. You can get caught into flushes. Mentally, looking to leave out, knowing I'm late for this meeting, and wanting to stay and trade. And you kind of have that mental conflict from time to time. But I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stick around and just go for it. So we ended up having a 10-minute halt. I think before this move up. So on this breakout here, I caught a nice trade over 540, selling at 570. And right here, I made a very crucial mistake. You see the small dip to 58 here on this bottom wick right here. I was not patient. The stock was bullish, and I was not patient enough to wait for the small pullback. Instead, I'm long at 76, massive size right here, and stopped out on the low of this freaking candle. This is one of the areas where I was up like, I think 1700 to almost flat again. Like I think I made a total of 5,000 and walked away with 500 only, which is quite pathetic, really, right? And it's because of silly mistakes. This was a silly mistake. After this move up, if I'm gonna take the next entry, I have to wait for that small pullback. I have to wait for the micro. Because the difference is, and it compounds, because the difference is, instead of being in at 76 and out at the low of this candle, I'm in towards the low of the candle, and the way how this move, so once this dipped and came back up, and it came back up a little quick, the moment it got back to like 65, 70, 75, boom, teleportation again, 624. And I'm there like, bro, there's no way. I just, like, this is like this is like textbook, like ABCD 101, like why am I rushing a trade like this that I've took 1,000 times properly before, you know? So just a little tough right there. Again, that could have been from, like, let's say, okay, I wouldn't have gotten the exact bottom, but let's say 65, 68 entry out at 624 into the halt up. Man. And it adds up. That's what, 50 cents. I think I had 5,000 shares right there. So that would have been like, 2,500, 2K trade just like that, adding to the 15, 1,600 that I had before the massive loss going down, right? It then resumes, and then we go up 2K again on this resumption here, believe it or not, despite it being a little choppy. So we opened at 624, it dipped to 96. I'm selling up at like, I think, what was the high, 62? I think I'm selling towards like 50 right here. And then again, I take the dip and rip nicely. And I think at this point, I'm up like, well over 3,000 on the day from the other stocks. And we did our thing, man. We said, hey, on this move up here, we said we're going to size down, reduce the risk, make sure we don't give back. And when this consolidation came to, because this is like a mini consolidation right here. When this consolidation came to, I sized back up, made nothing, and then got caught on some of this red candle. And then not only that, did we didn't come close to getting caught in this whole thing. Just a small piece of it, like right at the top right here. In, out. But after this massive drop, it was halting down. And then I looked away to start typing in the chat. This is why when you're trading, I mean, these are things that we've seen 1,000 times. How many times have we seen a stock look like it's going to halt down? Then it doesn't, right? Like, why am I so rushing, like so fussy to rush to type in that? Like, just wait. And I'm saying that because it did a false halt down. And then if you're paying attention, you would have had the entry to take the dip. And then immediately, from a low of 609, it's almost immediately bouncing. Where did we close on this candle? 7, I mean, just insane. The close was 636. So from 609 to very quickly to 636. And then from that candle, ripped up to 736. And then here's where I took a bigger loss. When this thing got back over 780, because over here 780 was a bit of a resistance. When it got over 780 right here, I'm like, man, This thing looks like it's gonna just go make a new high and halt up. What did I do? Just ridiculousness. I buy the very top of this candle, the very freaking top, 85, 84 entry, and immediately it's at like 7:30, 7:50, 7:30. I'm out all the way down here. I'm like, bro, right there, I basically rage quitted, and I'm like, yo, I'm done, done, done. That's it, done. Man, that was rough. So this is where I left, right here, came down. I figured it might have been backside. And it looks like it was for the most part, but we still had a beautiful big move back up, which might have been super aggressive as well. But I think the thing for me, just too many distractions, and my mental capital a lot of the times just not where it used to be back in the days. Back in the days, it was just so easy for me to stay here. Come in super early, 8:30, leave at 5 p.m. Even after an hour after the close, I'd watch Bloomberg TV. With Vonnie Quinn and all those people, all those good gals. They'll talk about market news and overall market stuff, right? But I don't know, man. That's for the last like 6, 7 months, 8 months. It's like after the first wave of momentum, which is usually done in the first hour or two. It's like to stay past 11 o'clock seems like such a chore, which is crazy to say, right? Because when I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's not that I'm not excited about trading. It's just difficult to stay longer mentally. I think a big part of it though is also falling back into a routine. Um, we're at the end of the day we're creatures of habits, and maybe I've just gotten into a bad habit of leaving early because it's been slow a lot of the times. But the biggest thing with the market is to be consistent and to be consistent with one thing, right? One approach, one game plan, let's say. Hey, every day, regardless if it's slow or not, I'm staying here till 1 p.m. Hey, these are the type of rules in a sense that we have to have. Because then for me, on a day like this where I'm not around, the stock starts to give the good move. It takes me much longer to gain the rhythm, get into the flow. And a lot of the times these stocks are easier to trade when they're lower in price because the range is tighter. You can take more size. And so, you gain a certain level of cushion here. And then you also size down. It becomes very easy to just hit the buy button, not worry about the risk. You already have a good cushion. So I gotta definitely gotta come correct, man, because there's a lot of money being left on the table. And we know what it is, right? Even if once every week and a half there's a stock like this, let's be honest, right? We all, for wherever you are in your career, especially where I am, a stock like this could mean an extra 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 15. I mean, who knows, right? Depending on how well it goes early. So I definitely got to get back into more longevity with just sticking around, sizing accordingly, sizing down accordingly. Today was a day where it's like 10:20, and I'm like, bro, I just want to get out of here. Like, it's tough to say what causes it. Is it like a burnout, perhaps? But yeah, this was AREB for anybody who missed it. Honestly, I mean, it was a scalper's dream. If you're hyper scalping and just buying the high, buying the high, buying the high. Like I said, I made 1,000, lost, made 1,000. So, it's like it was a little tricky in some areas, but being overly aggressive, again, making mistakes, I think was pretty big. Like this area here where we made this mistake, was it here? I think no, it was over here. Like this area where we made the mistake of buying with bigger size too high. Like that type of stuff is so costly, because again, from 15, 1,600, 1,700, adding another 2K on that, coming out of the resumption where I added another 2K, it's like that would have compounded to 6,000. It's much, much, much more difficult to go back to flat, right? And just being more focused in general, being here 100% present, not looking away in a halt down, not chasing the stock I mean, way sky high. You know, those small details, which if you're locked in, you avoid that stuff, and you're looking pretty good. But yeah, quick recap here. Not really like an official recap because it's so late, and this one was like definitely the stock of the day. Earlier in the morning, we of course had CNTM. CNTM, I believe we had highs of 1500 twice, walked away with 1K. This one a little cheaper, went from lows of 82 up to a high of 135. Guys, with the tariff news that just came out, I'm expecting the markets to be down big tomorrow. Stocks like Tesla will definitely, I think, take a hit. Um, you can see this entire move that we had. Yeah, this is pretty, apparent, right? This big move that we had to 290 today. We've given back all the gains. Any tariff news right now is going to affect a lot of these companies significantly, and so for me, I'm just looking to buy the dip, buy the good old dip, be patient, and see how it goes. But yeah, um, I think that's all. We did have some losing stocks as well, but for the most part, everything went well. It's a quick day early, and then we came back to add the extra 500. But again, over 5,000 passed through on just AREB, so we should have retained more of those gains. We could have walked away with a nice 6K, 7K day, 8K day, especially if we did better. So, what needs to be done is pretty clear. We got to do a better job being more consistent, sticking around longer, finding ways to stay disciplined and also entertained. And I think our patience will pay off in the long run here throughout the rest of the year. We're coming into Q2. For me, it's been a slow Q1. So it's a perfect time to change things up a little bit in terms of the game plan and, really get the ball rolling here for real this year. We got a lot of ground to cover, and today is a good start. So hit that thumbs up, subscribe tomorrow again.